All right, this is the video to learn how to solve two-step equations for that goes along with day 7 with your homework. All right, so when we're solving two-step equations, obviously that means there are 2 steps to solve it. There's a certain order that you have to do those 2 steps. The first step is that you must undo the adding and subtracting by doing the opposite. So obviously the opposite of adding would be what, class?
Subtract.
Yes, and the opposite of subtracting would be?
Add.
Perfect, okay. Then after you undo your adding and subtracting, then you undo your multiplying and dividing, again doing the opposite. So the opposite of multiplying would be?
Divide.
Dividing. Okay, so why do we do it in that order? It's kind of the opposite. Since you're undoing a problem, it's the opposite of your order of operations, right? Or adding and subtracting is normally the last thing you do, so it's the first thing you do when you undo it. Okay, so here are some 2-step equations. I know they're going to be 2-step. For sure, because there's 2 numbers over here with my variable that I'm trying to solve for. So in order to get g by itself, I can see that it's got a 7 being multiplied with it and a 10 being added with it. So we want to undo the adding and subtracting first. So the thing being added would be the 10. So the opposite of adding 10 would be to do what, class?
Subtract, then.
Okay. So we learned before that when we subtract something from one side, whatever we do to one side, we have to do the other side to keep it balanced. If I minus 10 from this side, I have to minus 10 on the other side. And by the other side, we're talking about the other side of the equal sign. You know, some of you guys like drawing this little lines. If that helps you, you can write that there. So we're minusing 10 on both sides to keep it equal. So if I have a 10 and I take it away, it's now gone, which we're just then left with 7g on that side. Equals then on this side, then 52 minus 10 leaves me with 42. Okay? So I did my first step. I undid my adding and subtracting. Now I'm down to just 7 times g equals 42. So the opposite of multiplying would be?
Divide.
Divide. So instead of 7 times 7, we're going to divide by 7. Again, what I do on one side, I do on the other side. So I divide by 7 on both sides. Those would cancel out. And then leaves you with g equals then 42 divided by 7, which is 6. All right, so that's my first answer. So how do I know if it's right? Well, that's where this is an important check step comes in. That's the best part about equations is we always know if they're right by just checking and plugging it back in. So if this is what g is, all I want to do is rewrite the equation, but in place of the g, I'm going to put the 6 in place of it. So I'm putting 6 where the g was. And I'm seeing, does that equal 52 or not? Okay, so then I go through following my regular order of operations. I do 7 times 6 is 42. And then add the 10 to it, and then boom, 52, it does equal what it's supposed to. So check, I know it's right. All right, any questions so far?
No.
We're good? Okay, so next one. See, we'll just move our way over to the side here. So this one, very similar to this problem. We have our w here, we have it's multiplied by -6, and there's a -8. So I want to get rid of my adding and subtracting, which would be to do what? What would I want to get rid of first?
Subtracting 8.
Okay, and how do I get rid of a subtracting 8?
Add 8.
Add 8. Okay, so what we do on this side of the equal sign, I do on the other side. Okay, again, if you want to write those little things on there, you can. Okay, so -8 plus 8 will cancel. We're left with -6w equals then 30. All right. What would be my next step? What should I do?
Get rid of the times.
Get rid of the times. Good. And how do I get rid of it?
Divide by -6.
Good. And we do want to divide by the negative because whatever we add or subtract or multiply, divide by should be the exact same number. We don't want to lose the negative in there. So it's times -6, so we divide by -6. Again, we do that on both sides. All right. So those will cancel then, and we get w equals then -5. All right. So, again, we want to do what now?
Check our answer.
Check it. We want to see if it works. So we'll plug it back in up here. So -6 times -5 minus 8, does that equal 22? Well, let's see. So order of operations, we want to multiply first. -6 times -5 is 30. Take away 8 makes 22. So it checks out. Makes what we want it to make. All right. Okay. So now we're going to move on. Any other questions so far?
Nope.
Still doing okay? All right, awesome. Okay, so the next problem, a lot of people look at this and get all confused, like, oh, there's some weird fraction in there. Well, this isn't a fraction. What does this line mean?
division.
That's division, right? So this is two-step as well. It's got a plus and it's got a division. So we want to undo our adding and subtracting first. So it's a plus 7. So we want to do what?
Minus 7.
Minus 7. So we subtract 7 on this side, and we subtract 7 on this side. This one also looks a little weird because the variable is on the right instead of on the left like it was on the other. But it doesn't change what we do. We're still trying to get the r by itself by getting rid of the numbers that are with it. Okay, so we got rid of our adding one. So it's plus 7, we minus 7. So plus 7 minus 7 cancels. It leaves that r divided by 3 over there. Send that down, equals then 15 minus 7 is 8. All right, so if this means divide, the opposite of dividing would be to do what?
Multiply.
Multiply. So if it's r divided by 3, to undo that, we would multiply by 3 on each side. All right, divide by 3 and times 3 would cancel, leaving you with the r, then equals 3 times 8, which is 24. All right, so let's see if that checks out. So I put the 24 back in there. I've got 15 equals 7 plus, and then put the 24 in, 24 over 3. All right, and then again solve. So 24 divided by 3 is 8, plus 7 makes 15. So it checks out. All right, so I'm gonna let you guys tell me what to do on D. What do you guys think? What would be the first step?
Add 7.
Add 7. Okay. Right there and right there. Okay. What happens when I add 7?
It cancels.
Cancels over here, leaving me with?
S divided by 2.
Good. That is division. Good job. Equals then 15. All right, now what?
Times by 2.
Yep, divided by 2, sweet. Times by 2. Times by 2. So those will cancel, giving you S equals then 30. All right, am I all done?
Check step.
Nope, we want to make sure it works out, right? So plug it in. So 30 over 2 minus 7, does that equal 8? Well, let's see. 30 minus divided by 2 is 15, minus 7, 8. Checks out. All right, so again, we went through all two-step equations. Every single problem, we either did an adding or subtracting first and to undo it, and then we undid the multiplying and dividing. Again, always doing the opposite. Okay, so now we're going to move on to a couple word problems. Yep. Okay. All right, so with these word problems, we're going to set up our equation and then solve them just like we did on the previous problems. So it says John was planning a party for her and her friends. The party center charges a flat fee. A flat fee? Do we know what a flat fee means?
You pay it once.
Yeah, we just pay that once. So we pay $37 to rent the room and an additional $8 fee per person. And then it says if the total bill was $133, how many people are going to be at the party? Okay, so when we set up our equation, we know we usually are working towards a total, right? So usually we set it equal to our total. Well, what's our total? That would be the 133. So we put the 133 here, and then we have to think about, okay, how do we get that total? Well, what are the numbers that make up that total? Well, we've got a 37, and we have an 8. So we have to figure out, okay, how is this going to lead up to that total? Well, if we're paying for this once, and we're paying for multiple $8 for each person, we would want to say $8 per person, maybe put a P for the people. Let's write on there that stands, oh, let me write it above. That stands for the number of people. Okay, and then what would I do with the 37 and the $8 per person? Well, I'd want to add them together. So it's like kind of similar to the last unit where this is like our starting amount, and then this is our rate per person, and then we have our total. Okay, so now you see we just made up the two-step equation. So we have these two numbers that we want, that are with our variable that we want to get rid of to solve for P. Okay, so which one would I get rid of first?
Minus.
Adding.
Yep, the adding. So it's plus 37, so I want to minus the 37. Okay, so I do that on both sides. So those would cancel out then, and I get AP equals then, what's that, 96? And then lastly, I would do what?
Divide.
Yep, divide by 8. Okay, and then dividing by 8, then we get P by itself. P would equal, some mental math there, that would be 12.
12.
Yeah, so 12 and 12 what? Well, P stood for people. All right, and of course we can check out to see if that works out and makes sense in our situation. If I plug that back in, I have the $37 plus $8 times the 12 people. Does that equal 133? Well, 8 times the 12, that's my 96. Add the 37 to it, makes 133. So it checks out. Okay. All right, any questions? Good? Okay, so you guys help me out with this one then. Andrea's saving up to buy a new laptop. She already has saved $105, and she decides that she can put in $20 into her account every month. And we want to know if the computer costs $365, how many months will Andrea need to save money? All right, so if I'm writing an equation, I usually look for my total first. Which one's my total?
365.
Yeah, so we said equal to 365. And then we know our other information should go on the other side. So we have this 105 and we have this 20. Okay, now one of those that we pay for every month, and we should have a variable with it. Which one should that be?
20.
The 20, right? It's 20 per month. So we put maybe M per month. Okay, and then what would I put here? Plus, right? Because it's starting at 105. She has that already. Plus another 20 per month makes that total. Okay, then we solve it. What do we do to solve first?
Subtract 105.
Yep, subtract that from both sides. Okay, so those will cancel and I'll get 20M left over equals then 260. And then what?
Divide by 20.
Divide by 20. So those cancel, so I get M equals then 13, and M stood for months. So 13 months, you would have enough money. All right, and then again, we have one more step, which is to what?
Check.
Check. So we've got 105 plus 20 times 13. I put the 13 in for the M equals 365. Now let's see. So 20 times 13 would be 260. Plus 105 makes 365. So check, works out. All right, so now you've learned your lesson for day 7. If you are ready to do the check step, or not the check step, sorry, the exit ticket, that would be your next thing to do, is to do the exit ticket. If you don't feel ready to move on to the exit ticket, now would be your time to just do some extra practice.